Next, we're tackling the rough perspective. So in this one, we are not using a ruler except for your horizon and your frames. So basically all of the lines constructing our boxes are freehand. So again, we're going to have our page, and we are drawing our frames just like with the plotted perspective one. And we draw a horizon. So this exercise is to be done in 1 point perspective. I've seen some people try and do it in 2 point, and I always chastise them for it because the instructions say 1 point, so do it in 1 point. If you do it in 2, it's going to make the exercise a little bit more muddy. The point of the exercise is to learn to estimate the angle of your lines so that they converge towards a certain vanishing point. If you're doing it towards 2, it kind of just dilutes the effectiveness of what you're doing, because we want to focus all on converging towards 1 point. So because it's 1 point, that means that our horizontals and our verticals are parallel in the standard way. Our horizontals run perfectly parallel to the horizon line, and our verticals run perfectly perpendicular to it. So we can just draw out some rectangles. And again, we are not drawing cubes. Remember, you'll be doing this freehand using the ghosting method, so you'll actually be drawing your points, ghosting back and forth. I am using some Photoshop trickery for speed's sake, because I don't want to make these videos too long. So let's say we've got these rectangles out here. Now all we have to do is kind of figure out how we are going to make them go back towards the vanishing point. Now I don't want to plot a line all the way back. What I want to do is I want to put out my next point so that it kind of goes off towards the vanishing point. I'm kind of estimating, but I'm really just trying to eyeball this. Maybe here. And if you ever find that you are in a position where you don't know what the next line you want to draw is going to be, don't just guess. This exercise requires no guesswork beyond how you're aligning your lines to the vanishing point. If you don't know where your line needs to go, then you aren't thinking through it enough. So there are 3 major behaviors for your lines, and it depends on which part of the box you are drawing, or which line of the box you are drawing. If you are drawing a horizontal line, like I said, all horizontal lines run parallel to the horizon line. If you're drawing a vertical one, they run perpendicular to the horizon line. And all other lines, like the depth lines of the box, will converge towards the vanishing point. That's the tricky part of this exercise. So we do know that this one wants to be straight. I'm doing a shitty job because I'm not rotating my page. So as always, since you're using the ghosting method here, you are fully expected to be rotating your page to make those angles of approach as comfortable as possible. You'd think I wouldn't mispronounce that word, considering how it's my favorite word in the world, or at least uncomfortable is. So I'm going to finish off this one box, and then I'm just going to move on to the next stage of this exercise, because I don't want to take too much time, and I'm hungry. All right, so now that we've done some of these boxes, the next step, and I prefer that you do this after you've completed a full page of rough perspective box exercises, meaning like several frames worth. The next thing I want you to do is take a pen of a different color and actually take these lines and extend them out towards, like with a ruler, not freehand. Extend them out like this, towards the vanishing point. Let's do that in a different layer. No, don't delete it. So extend it out towards the horizon line. And do this for every single depth line, meaning the ones that are intended to go towards the vanishing point. So what this shows you is just how far off your estimations are, and not only that, but also where you tend to make more mistakes of this sort. So like I said before, we are not expecting to be able to do perfect work. We are getting the gist of what we're supposed to be aiming for. And in this case, we can see more clearly where our mistakes tend to happen. So as you can see, I have a shit ton of mistakes. I've made a lot of blunders in terms of estimating what my angle should be in order to converge towards the vanishing point. And this really brings it to light. So one thing that I don't want you to do here is don't see what the line would have been had you actually drawn it correctly. I mean, it's somewhat useful, but the extending your lines towards the horizon line approach is way more effective, because you actually see, you can actually tell just how much of a distance there is between where you should have been and where you were. So being able to compare your mistake and what would have been correct is much more valuable. So for this exercise, again, fill up your frame with boxes, and then fill up your page with frames of these boxes, and then upon the completion of each page, go back and apply this correction method with a different colored pen or pencil or whatever. And don't be upset if you find that you made a lot of mistakes, because it's completely normal. We always when we approach this, we tend to have our estimation of perspective drift, especially as we move further out towards, like, away from the vanishing point. And so doing this will both inform you on what your mistakes are and show you what you need to improve on.